very quiet. Everybody's listening with bated breath. Welcome to the launch of MATS, and a special welcome to our special guests, the Honourable Kate Thwaites, MP, Assistant Minister for Ageing, Social Security and Women, and Professor Susan Elliott, AM, Provost and Senior Vice President of Monash, Professor Anne Nicholson, Dean, Faculty of Information Technology, Professor Katie Stevenson, Dean, the Faculty of Arts, Dr. Meredith Prain, National Head of Research and Centre of Excellence, Deaf-Blind at ABLE Australia, and Jing Hu. So my name's Kim Marriott. I'm the Director of MATS, and I lead MATS along with Louisa Willoughby, who is there, and also Ramona Mandy, our Centre Manager, who's here. Just a little housekeeping. Just being directed by backstage. Little housekeeping. Toilets are behind you along the corridor to the right. And I will also be doing some audio describing. So on the screen, we have a big welcome MATS Centre Launch 2024, and we have a picture of Ramona playing with what we call Beasley, and she's there with a PhD student, Ruth, who created Beasley, which is a 3D model to teach about the anatomy of bees. Okay, I would now like to introduce Professor Susan Elliott, AM, the Provost of Monash, to start the formalities. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to see you here, and thank you, Kim, for the warm welcome. Before I commence, I wish to acknowledge the people of the Kulin Nations on whose unceded lands we meet today, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and extend those respects to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander persons present today. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to the launch of the Monash Assistive Technology and Society Centre. I'd like to acknowledge the Assistant Minister for Women, Social Security and Ageing, the Honourable Kate Thwaites, MP, for agreeing to officiate this important milestone for the Centre. We know it's a very busy time of year with so many community events and after a long parliamentary sitting, and we're very grateful you've made the time to be with us today. I'm joined by my colleagues, Professor Anne Nicholson, the Dean of the Faculty of Information Technology, and Professor Katie Stevenson, Dean of the Faculty of Arts. I'd also like to acknowledge Dr. Meredith Prain from ABLE Australia and representatives from a wide range of community and disability organisations, many of whom contributed their ideas and expertise to the setting up of the centre. Thank you to the organising committee, key MATS leads Professor Kim Marriott and Associate Professor Louisa Willoughby, Centre Manager Ramona Mandy and Ash King and Lucas Sharp, the Faculty IT and Events Marketing team for curating this event. Like many things at Monash University, this centre came around from the kernel of an idea, a set of values about how we could better assist people with disabilities to participate more widely in education, work, culture and social activities, and the commitment and drive of a core group of people to negotiate the often unwieldy bureaucracy of a large institution like Monash and make this centre a reality. Established formally in 2023, the MATS Centre core goal is to help people living with disabilities to lead self-directed lives. Emerging technologies have the potential to break down many of the barriers people with disabilities face at school, university, work, and in their social life. The Centre is leading the development and adoption of these life-changing technologies. Aligning with Monash's strategic plan, Impact 2030, MATS aims to contribute to thriving communities by addressing design issues that lead to systemic social issues of inequality, disadvantage and discrimination. MATS has brought together over 200 researchers from across Australia and Malaysia, making it the largest centre of its kind in the world. Its multidisciplinary team includes researchers from the Faculty of IT's Inclusive Technologies Research Lab, and also from the Faculties of Arts, Education, medicine, nursing and health sciences, pharmacy, engineering, business and economics, and the Rehabilitation, Ageing and Independent Living Research Centre. It has a particular focus on inclusive STEM, with many of its members working to break down these barriers to ensure it is a more accessible pathway for those with disabilities. We know that with a greater diversity of thought, backgrounds and abilities, we get better outcomes and very often transformative initiatives that are outside the box. This is what we're all about here at Monash University. Our university is proud to have supported the development and formalisation of MATS as one of our newest and most important centres. We look forward to seeing it grow and build strong partnerships with government, community organisations, industry and philanthropy so we can make an even bigger impact on people's lives. I now have the great pleasure of welcoming our special guest, the Honourable Kate Thwaites, MP, to say a few words.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. I join in acknowledging that we're on the lands of the Boon Wurrung and Wurundjeri peoples of the Kulin Nations, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend those respects to any First Nations people joining us here today. To Professor Susan Elliott and the entire Monash team and all the other people here to support, thank you so much for having me join you today for this really special occasion. It's a real privilege to be here. It's very clear that this centre is at the forefront of technology that is breaking down barriers for people with disability and for older Australians in our country. Through creating new assistive technology, promoting adoption and improving our understanding of the barriers people face to using technology, this centre is doing important work to support Australians not just now but into the future. And I'm really impressed to see the centre's focus on community partnerships, taking that research and the work that you are doing out to the community to address real and pressing needs and creating that lasting impact. So fantastic to see some of the things making circuits over here, the work to make the university campus more accessible, led by the students, some of the technology that I saw at the back around helping people with low vision to navigate the world, and also to navigate some of the special places in our community that otherwise can be shut off to people with disability. This is really important, life-changing work. And it is, of course, work that the Australian government wants to support. Our government is focused on supporting people with disability and older Australians to maintain choice and control in their lives, to participate fully in their communities and to enjoy equal opportunities. And technology absolutely plays a key role in all of this. We are committed to supporting innovative approaches that further our work to address discrimination and obstacles, that boost inclusion, accessibility and wellbeing. Through Australia's disability strategy, we are driving reform at all levels of government to improve inclusion for people with disability so that they can fulfil their potential as equal members of their community. And just last week, we celebrated International Day of People with Disability, which was a time not just to recognise achievements of people with disability in our community, but also to have those conversations about how we can make our schools, our workplaces, those special places in our community more accessible to everyone. And again, it's really heartening to see the emphasis that you are putting on that work here. We do know the importance of assistive technology in supporting people with disability to participate more fully and readily in community. And that does include embedding accessible and inclusive practices in the design and development of critical technologies. We are also supporting self-reliance, independence and connection for all Australians as they age in their communities. So we've recently extended our Be Connected program, which helps older Australians improve their digital literacy, providing access to free training and devices and helping them to safely and confidently use technology and online platforms. In the aged care reforms that we are making, which are really larger reforms, we are putting an emphasis on using technology to help people stay at home for longer. So the Support at Home program, which is a key part of these reforms, includes a particular focus on using assistive technology. The new Assistive Technology and Home Modification Scheme will provide people with funding to access the products, equipment and home modifications they need to live independently at home for as long as possible. Again, making a real difference to so many people's lives. I think we are only just beginning to see the difference that this type of technology can make to the lives of people with disability and those who are ageing. I know that this centre is going to be helping to lead a lot of what comes next. And I thank you again for the work you're doing, for the partnerships you're creating. And I look forward to continuing our relationship and the work you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. And thank you very much, Provost. So I'd just like to continue and tell you a little bit more about MATS. So our vision is a world in which people with disabilities have access to technologies that allow them to lead self-directed lives and equitably engage in education, employment, community and social activities. Why is this important? About 1 in 5 people in Australia live with disability, and as the recent Royal Commission into Disability revealed, people with disability routinely face discrimination and disadvantage and barriers to engagement in life. So technology can play a pivotal role in removing some of these barriers. For example, audio books and screen readers have been a boon for people who are blind, allowing them to access textual information. But too often technologies are developed without considering people with disability. So we read about bias in AI, we read about banks introducing inaccessible touchscreen FPOS machines. And we want to change that. As the Provost has said, MATS brings together the largest collection of researchers in the world that are interested in assistive technology and disability. We bring expertise in tech and design, social science, education, economics and health. And this allows us to address problems holistically with a very multifaceted mix of perspectives. And importantly, everything that we do is community driven. So we partner with disability organisations and people living with disabilities to make sure that we're solving real world problems and making real change. And so I want to thank many of our partners organisations who are here. So the Victorian and New South Wales Department of Education, Next Sense, Wallara, Guide Dogs Victoria, Vision Australia, Expression Australia and Able Australia, as well as the Melbourne Polytechnic and the University of Southern Queensland. Now, one of our major focuses is on removing barriers to communication and information access. So we're Australia's leading centre for Auslan research and education. And because of our research, 3D printed models like the one on the screen. So on the screen, there are now 3 images. On the left, actually in the centre, is a picture of a blind student holding a 3D model of a bird's head. So because of our research, models like this are being used throughout Australia to educate students who are blind and enable them to access maps, diagrams and other sorts of graphics. And in general, improving access to education and employment is one of our major goals. Students with disability are half as likely to complete Year 12 as students without disability. And if you have a disability, you're twice as likely to be unemployed as somebody who does not have a disability. We want to change that. And a particular focus is on STEM, so science, technology, engineering and mathematics, because people with disability are really underrepresented in STEM, but we know that STEM is a growth area and that there will be many more jobs in the future in STEM. So we want to encourage people with disabilities and provide the resources for them to study STEM and then go out and get jobs in STEM, and particularly in IT. So we've developed Eureka Prize winning tape blocks, which is shown on the left on the screen, which allow people with disability to create electronic circuits easily. And we're also providing PhD scholarships targeting people with disability to train the next generation of assistive technology researchers. More generally, we want to transform the Australian tech industry. So we want everyone graduating from Monash to have an understanding of disability and inclusive design. We want more people with disability to be working in the tech industry and developing the new tech so that these technologies are born accessible rather than made accessible afterwards. And we want Monash in Australia to become a centre for disability tech, for the development and commercialisation of new assistive technologies. But it's not just about education and jobs. Our research is also supporting creativity and improved access to community and cultural events. People with disability are underrepresented, for example, in the Australian music industry. Our researchers, Alon and Sam, have developed an accessible gestural instrument known as AirSticks. This uses a mix of AI and electronics to track body movement. So on the screen, there's an image of Melinda Smith, who is here, using AirSticks in a recent performance at a critically acclaimed show, Circuit Bodies, which was shown in Fringe. And I just want to finish by saying it's an incredibly exciting time to be working in assistive technology. So new technologies, 3D printing, generative AI like ChatGPT, robots, mixed reality headsets, have the potential to remove and transform the lives of people with disability. So we're using AI to build intelligent 3D printed models that can have a conversation with you. We're exploring how mixed reality headsets can allow people who have low vision identify friends, find their cup on a cluttered desk, or help them read menus. And as one person said in a recent study, looking at the use of generative AI to help people who are blind, the sky is the limit. So this is a very quick introduction, only some of the things that we're doing, but I encourage you to come on one of the tours after the official launch. Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Meredith Prain, one of our long-time collaborators. Meredith is both a researcher and a practitioner and one of Australia's leading experts on deafblindness. And she is the National Head of Research and Centre of Excellence Deafblind at ABLE Australia. Thank you very much, Meredith.
Thank you. That'll pick me up okay? Yep, it's high tech. Thank you for the privilege and honour of being invited to speak today, Kim. So you mentioned a couple of my hats, but I do come here today with multiple hats as a researcher, a service provider, a person with disability and an advocate. And I'll be speaking today about collaboration from all of those perspectives. So as a service provider and an advocate, I know how incredibly important it is to have really good quality research so that we can ensure that we're providing high quality service provision to clients, but also that we're providing evidence-based and high quality training to our staff to build the capacity of the workforce, and also to have good evidence to advocate and lobby government for improved high quality services. So as a service provider, I was really thrilled when Associate Professor Louisa Willoughby reached out to us at ABLE Australia. So Louisa is one of the leads of the Monash Assistive Technology and Society Centre, to partner with us on a project around tactile communication with people with deafblindness. I was particularly pleased because often when we're invited to partner with research, the research team doesn't know a lot about deafblindness, but I knew that Louisa's team had over a decade of experience working with this population on this particular topic. So they brought that wealth of experience and research knowledge to the project, but the way that ABLE contributed, and I'll just mention a couple of other partners as well. So the National Accreditation Authority for Translators and Interpreters was another partner. And also we had a project team member who was a tactile Auslan user. So we had a really great team of people with different perspectives coming together on this project. So ABLE Australia assisted in being able to provide access and support recruitment with people who are typically hard to reach. I think researchers often have difficulty engaging and recruiting people with deaf blindness, and also people with profound intellectual and multiple disabilities who live in our houses and use our day services. We also assisted with recruitment for a survey with our broad national and international networks. And we used our network through Deafblind International to get many international participants, and also Deafblind International's network to translate the survey into Spanish to reach an even broader audience. So that survey was to understand better the training needs of sign language interpreters and people who provide support to people with deaf blindness. So in Australia, we call them communication guides, and ABLE Australia is the largest provider of communication guide services in Australia. Another benefit to both parties, Monash and ABLE, was that we were able to bring together 30 communication guides, which is very unusual because they're usually all out working, but we were able to get them on their training day for the staff at Monash to come in and deliver training. So we were getting that really cutting edge training for our staff, and it was co-delivered with 2 tactile Auslan users as well. So they were forefront and centre to the training. This also provided Monash the opportunity to pilot the training and to evaluate the training. And I'm really excited that we now have a training program for Auslan interpreters, and that NAATI, the accrediting body, will recognise deaf blindness as a specialty area in interpreting. So there's been some huge benefits and outcomes to all parties from this collaboration. I wanted to build further now on what Kim was saying about including everybody and just how much people with disability are often excluded. There's the groups that I work with, people with deaf blindness and people with profound intellectual and multiple disability, are often excluded from research because they're so hard to engage. So I think this is one of the great benefits of collaborating with service providers and peak bodies to help have access and engage those hard to reach participants. I was so thrilled to see the work of Kirsten and the STEM work with the tape blocks, because I kept drilling deeper, and what about someone like this and what about someone like that? And even the most profoundly disabled people, Kirsten has been able to engage with the STEM blocks. So that was super exciting. But I also think as researchers, I put out a challenge, and to designers, that we need to join people in their world. We often come with these ideas, but we have so much unconscious bias that we bring as sighted, hearing, able-bodied people to the situation, and to actually spend time with people, joining them in their world and getting a deep understanding of what's important and meaningful and what are priorities for these different groups is critical. As a person with disability, I use technology, assistive technology, every single day and most hours of my life. It has levelled the playing field for me incredibly and makes me be able to function alongside my sighted peers at work, in music, in all of the pursuits that I do. But I couldn't have done that without a huge amount of support. I've had fantastic technology trainers who have taught me to use my assistive technology, helped me to problem solve, and peers who have also helped me to problem solve. And these supports, I think, are critical and often missed in research collaborations. So the work of my colleague, Natasha Layton, who has developed a tool called the My Assistive Technology Outcomes Framework, shows that supports are a critical feature of assistive technology for people with disability. And I think just as an example, I was thinking about that. I was going to give you an example, but I'll give you an example of the tape blocks. It's great to go out, show how they work, but you need the support staff to be trained. You need the support staff to have an ongoing knowledge of how to use it and do different things with it with the clients. Often things fall apart when there's not that support around the technology to keep it being used into the future. So the three key messages for you are that collaboration is really powerful for having multiple benefits to all stakeholders. Keep the person with disability central to everything you're doing, join them in their world and really find out what's meaningful to them in developing assistive technologies. And finally, including supports is really critical for long-term sustainable solutions with assistive technology. Just in closing, I'm really fortunate to have had the opportunity to collaborate with Kim, with Louisa and with Ramona, all the leadership team of the Monash Assistive Technology and Society Centre. So I know it's in extremely good hands, and looking around today, it's super exciting to see what the future holds. Thank you.
Thank you, Meredith. Now, I would like to invite our next speaker, Jing Hu. So, as I said, MATS is providing PhD scholarships, which are targeting people with disability to train the next generation of AT researchers. And one of these scholarships was awarded to Jing, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her PhD and about her experience with assistive technology. Thank you, Jing.
Hi, this is Jing's other, more authentic voice in what is supposed to be Australian English. I'm a Chinese woman, dark hair, wearing a dotted rusty red silk shirt and light yellow Dax today. When we talk about accessibility and inclusion, consciously or subconsciously we conjure up an image of the other, a physically, mentally, or ethnically different other who we feel morally charged to bring into our own world. Someone like me. After years of being denied equal opportunities for education and employment in my home country, simply because of these differences I cannot command, I am truly grateful to come to Monash and MATS, to be part of this amazing academic community, to do research with world-leading researchers who also question what accessibility and inclusion means, not only for the other, but for the self. Coming from an intercultural communication background, my research is focused on exploring the lived experiences of university students who use assistive technology, such as the one I am using now, to substantially support communication in situations where oral or written form is required for academic or social interactions. Technically, it's in a growing field of augmentative and alternative communication, AAC for short. Currently, AAC is only reserved for people with communication disabilities. Unlike many other AAC studies, I'm more interested in how AAC could be potentially used not only to help students with disabilities, but even more importantly, help all students achieve their aspirations, just as it helps me stand here and communicate with you all. My choice of AAC techniques is very different from other AAC users. But the acts of having this choice and actualizing it in a specific context where it proves beneficial, despite the physical, mental, or ethnic differences, however, will work for everyone. Based on this core idea of universal design, I hope that my research in AAC can contribute to a much broader understanding of its great potential in UDL, Universal Design for Learning, which benefits not only a few weirdos, but for every student. It takes insider perspectives to understand what choices need to be effectuated and how, instead of treating people with physical or mental differences as objects of study. It is important to break boundaries between researcher and participant by empowering the latter to decide how the research should work for them, not vice versa, as Kim and Meredith mentioned in their talks. Before this talk, I asked my HDR colleagues to share their research briefs so I could check if they're telling the truth about MATS. Then I put their research briefs into a word cloud generator. Let's see what keywords will turn up, loosely in the shape of a cloud. Communication, movement, creative, collaborations, experiences, interactive, blind, health. What do these words tell us? These are not just random buzzwords. They tell a story about how MATS brings together the human experience with technological innovation. When we see these words emerging as key themes, it reminds us that technology isn't just about devices and code. It's about connecting people. It's humanities-driven. They show how the humanities and arts breathe life into scientific innovation and guide us to recognize an innate symbiotic relationship between the self and the other. Assistive technology is not helping other people like me to have access to your world, but to bring your world closer to whom I've come to know as myself because of you. This is a valid statement, because an able, native, better self-image would not exist without a disabled, foreign, less good other, and vice versa. Good IT design should not just ask what sort of things they need, but also what we need. This is a fundamental attitude we need to change. It's not a question of who says who's included, who's the other. We're in this together. I'm proud to see MATS is amplifying our voices from inside out through collaborative research. This is crucial, because when we combine the soul of humanities with the capabilities of science, we create solutions that don't just work technically, but resonate humanly in every one of us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jean. Now, I would like to thank Minister Thwaites, our Provost, Susan Elliott, and our speakers, Dr. Meredith Prain and Jing Hu, as well as everybody else who helped organise this event. So that's the FIT Events and Marketing team, Ash King and Lucas Sharp. It's also Holly Cooper and Natalie Emerson from Government Relations, and all the people from MATS who helped with the displays. And of course, Louisa and Ramona, Kirsten Ellis, Matt Butler, Leona Holloway, and our tour leaders, and also our MAT and MATS volunteers. Thank you very much. Now it's time for the big launch. Okay, I mentioned AirSticks earlier. Sam Trolland, one of the developers of AirSticks, is now handing an AirStick to Minister Thwaites, and she's been instructed on how to use it. Now, the AirSticks look like a red paintbrush, and the Minister will now use the AirStick to officially open MATS. Hey! So, just a quick audio description. The screen was blank, but as the Minister slowly moved the air stick, the harp sounds and an image was slowly revealed. And then with a dramatic flourish, it was opened and the entire image was revealed to say MATS Centre has launched. So thank you very much, Minister.